My biggest win with the journey has been that inner peace and just that fundamental knowing that I've got full purpose and a great deal more happiness.
That was amazing for me, and actually for my whole family. Allowed us to keep this open mind on life and to open to all the opportunities.
I have so much more freedom and self-connection and health and vibrancy. I just feel more alive.
The journey helped me to understand what my emotions are, not to be scared of them.
It changed my life. It cleared all blocks and brought into my consciousness what my heart's desire was.
Now I feel my life is easier. I feel stronger, feel what I feel and find a new solution.
To be free from the burden on my shoulders. I live in the moment now, and I'm open to my emotions from the highest to the lowest.
Until the journey, I didn't really know that I could get to the same depth without using any substance. It's getting easier and easier to connect to the deepest part of myself.
Probably the biggest improvement is my inner life or my inner freedom to be as myself, in myself, not being a victim of circumstances and the other people.
The journey has really been a second chance in life for me. Having permission to dive deep and find out who the real authentic me was and just to be that person has just been wonderful.
When you listen to yourself and when you really touch your soul, something magical happens.
Life is different because of the journey. I feel I have all the tools I need to face whatever life throws at me. Life has become fun.
My biggest win was healing a broken heart, and not once, many times. I would never have been able to be in the position that I am in now had it not been for the journey.
Befriending myself in really accepting who I am, that I am perfectly imperfect and I don't need fixing.
I've gained so much. So there is no one big win. If it had to be named as one thing, I would just say it's life-changing.
It's changed my world, it's changed my life, it's changed me. And it's allowed me to be open and vulnerable and completely transparent.
My biggest win since attending the Journey Intensive has been finding myself. It has been healing, transforming.
I am just so much more receptive and open to whatever God has planned for me. At the very core of me, being able to experience that peace has been priceless.
A wonderful good evening and welcome to our discovery session live with Brandon today. A huge welcome and thank you for everybody joining from all around the world. I've been kind of seeing the hellos coming in from all places in Europe, from Canada, from South Africa, from the US, all the places up north and across Europe. So a huge and heartfelt welcome. And so today we have a themed event called From Chaos to Calm. Well, chaos to calm can mean so many different things for us, but there are just so many stresses in life, so much that we're sometimes holding. And there's a beautiful way where Brandon can guide us into our emotional world and see how we may be holding back or suppressing or shutting down to all of life. And so a huge welcome to today's session. And thank you, Brandon, so much for being here with us. And obviously, I need to say a huge welcome to all our friends from Israel here because we're translating into Hebrew today. And I have seen many, many names from Israel popping up here today. So a heartfelt welcome to all of you as well and all the world. So please join me in welcoming Brandon for today's session of From Chaos to Calm and how we can, the practical tools, how we can nurture ourselves, how we can bring ourselves back to wholeness. So please come and join me, Brandon, not join me, but you please join everybody here for today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby.
Hold on, I've nearly forgotten something. As we so often do, we are also choosing a winner for the next upcoming Journey Intensive. And so for anyone who is here now and stays until the very end, we always choose a winner. So please stay with us, and I will announce that, and I will also speak a little bit more about the upcoming events. Over to you now, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and a heartfelt welcome to everyone. And in just your case, you're wondering, Gabby is the international managing director of the Journey Worldwide, and she's been with me now for about 28 years. And so I always feel graced to have my soul sister be the one to introduce. And I also want to thank all of you who sent in your challenges. I always take several hours before we are going into this session to really open with what you shared and the issues that you're facing, so that I can kind of weave into this session some things that would be germane to your personal issue that's going on. And so I'm always very touched by your openness and your honesty, and by willing to open up and share with me what you're facing right now. And of course, it is a crazy, chaotic time in our world with all that's going on the world stage. And yet, in reading what's really challenging us in our life, it's much more personal than that. And there was one woman, and several people shared about depression, but one woman was saying that she'd had depression her whole adult life, and it's now gotten into her bones, into her back and her shoulders, and into her voice. And she's aware that she's holding it all in. And the all that she's talking about is she's emotionally choking it back, holding it all in. And it's an accurate truth that she spoke in what she shared. Because what science has found is that when we feel a strong emotion and we repress it, it releases into our bloodstream a quantifiable biochemistry, which will go to certain cell receptors, block those cells, and it renders those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, well, it obviously happens in that particular cellular location. What's also known to be true is that when we feel our emotions very naturally and, like a child does, our cell receptors remain open. And so what happens with us, let's say there's some depression happens, and some incident happens, or trauma happens, where there is this shutdown. Now, immediately that biochemistry is released, and it gets stored in the cells. That old programming, that old pain you were in, the words you couldn't say, the consciousness at that time, everything that you held back, as that woman shared in her share, it's actually stored in your body as programming inside the cells. And before that cell generation dies, it passes on its programming to the next cell generation. And it gets passed on from one cell generation to the next. When I was diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor, and I was in with the doctor, and she said to me, it probably started as one cell when you were 8 years old, and then it replicated. And, obviously, before I went to the doctor, it started replicating exponentially. And I looked about 6 months pregnant, though I knew I wasn't. And so these are very accurate statements that people kind of innocently make. There was one woman who was sharing that she's had depression since she was a kid, and she's been managing it with medication prescribed by her doctor. Recently, her father passed unexpectedly, and it just sent her to rock bottom. And one of the reasons it does is because though the medication can help manage your mood, it's not getting to the emotional root cause of what co-created that depression in the first place. Now, many of you shared, interestingly enough, this particular time, that you had close family loved ones pass, and you just haven't been right since. That, it may have happened yesterday, some of you just a couple of weeks ago. And, it's just like you're trying to pick yourself up off the ground emotionally. And so when we take these strong emotions and we turn them inside, they don't go away. We just bury them deep within. And then when life happens and a loved one dies or we get triggered in some way, up comes these old emotions that were never addressed. And a number of you, it was surprising how many of you mentioned that you had multiple sclerosis, but that the result of that was it's beginning to shut you down to the joy in life, to being able to feel and receive love. And yet, and others of you talked about fibromyalgia and even long COVID, and how with these physical things happening, it's very hard to find any sense of peace, of calm in your life. You know, interestingly enough, in Israel, and I know quite a number of Israelis are on tonight, and shalom to everyone. And in Israel, they actually have 3 hospitals where, let's say, you have heart disease, and you get treated by the medical doctors, and then you're welcomed at that hospital to go into a week-long recovery center where they use the journey method to get to the emotional root cause of what co-created the illness in the first place. I mean, we don't need to know all of science and how it works to know that someone who gets a heart attack, there's bound to be a lot of stress there. And something's causing that stress emotionally inside. And the journey is a very profoundly deep, but gentle and very practical method that medical doctors are using and psychiatrists, psychologists are using, and people from all walks of life, where you're taken on a journey inside your body and you actually get to these emotional cell memories. And you go through a deep process of release and letting go, understanding what took place with you in your life when you actually shut down. And then ultimately coming to a place of deep forgiveness of yourself, of life, of others, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. And so this is why they're using it in hospitals. And so, for instance, there's another hospital in Israel where they have, if let's say you have cancer and you go through all the treatment, and again, you go to the recovery center, and you undergo journey work for that week long to really get to the emotional root cause, the corollary of what's co-creating the illness. So, and what they've been finding, and they've kept records of thousands of patients over the last many years, they're actually doing a documentary on it, is that those that get to the root cause and really clear it out using journey work, well, then further on down the line, the cancer doesn't seem to metastasize, or the heart attacks don't return. And there's actually another hospital where they are working with patients with fibromyalgia and multiple sclerosis, as many of you did mention today. And again, they're doing the journey to really go inside that person to really get to the root cause. And what's so amazing, you know, with multiple sclerosis, it's generally considered degenerative. And yet there have people who are getting out of wheelchairs and walking again. And so there really is hope for all of us that it is possible in a very real way to go on a journey inside your body and get to the emotional root cause. Now, my prayer isn't that you do wait until you get a big wake-up call like depression or multiple sclerosis or long COVID or fibromyalgia, that you give yourself a journey process now before it ends up manifesting as illness down the line. Now, one of the things that I have learned is that our emotions, all of us in life have learned to avoid those uncomfortable emotions. You know, feel a strong, painful emotion, oh, let's smoke it away or drink it away or take substance to get rid of it, call a friend, get on Facebook, search the web, you know, on and on. We have countless distractions. anything but actually feel that so-called bad emotion. And yet I had to learn in a very powerful, life-changing way just how healing our emotions can be. And that actually, if you're willing to open with your emotions, they will take you inside yourself into the peace that underlies all emotions, into this vast field of love, of peace that you actually came in as. As a matter of fact, science will tell you that when you are newly born, and in the first hours, days, weeks of your life, as a newborn infant, you feel yourself to be this vast field of love, of oneness, where you feel yourself to be part of and in everything. As a matter of fact, when mother's hand comes before your eyes, as an infant, you actually feel mother's hand as being part of yourself. That's how vast this field of enlightened awareness is. But unfortunately, through the course of life's natural pains and trials, this radiant love that is our essence, it gets covered over with a series of painful shutdowns, lies, limitations, negative beliefs, traumas. And when we get to be adults, we cover this whole mess over with this mask that we present to the world. It's like this hardened veneer, this polished veneer, where we say to the world, no, I'm an adult, I'm reliable, I'm responsible, you can count on me. And then if you're very lucky, then people don't actually say the words. You'll wonder why they look at you as if you're so full of, and you can finish that sentence. And then if you're very lucky, life gives you a wake-up call. Now, these wake-up calls can come in so many forms. It can come in the form of these serious illnesses that we've been talking about recently. It can come in the form of a loss of a loved one. It can come in the form of a divorce, a Ukraine or Israel-Gaza war. It can come in the form of even just being shouted at work and losing your job. Come in so many forms. These wake-up calls, where for one moment you decide to get real and you crack through this hardened veneer that you've been presenting to the world. And spontaneously you end up opening down through the layers of the pain, the lies, the shutdowns, and you eventually end up opening into this vast field of peace, of love, that is your essence. And if you're like me, you fall so in love with this love that you'll do anything to clear whatever obscures you, whatever shuts you down, whatever lampshades you put over your light, so this radiant love can live your life. And it's a simple thing. We come in as this vast field of peace, of love, and of enlightened awareness, and then something happens. We're 3 years old and we're crying about something, and mother says, come, we got to dry our tears. We need to get to nursery school. And the little you gets it. Oh, I'm not allowed to feel, at least not the ones with the tears. And the first involuntary, automatic shutdown happens. Or it can happen, I can remember I was about 8 years old, and one of the things, I come from a very domestically violent, brutally violent household. And one of the ways that I was able to escape that is I would escape into my children's books. And if you loved reading as much as I do, well, of course, I became a good reader and a good speller. And I got chosen for one of those contests in the United States called a spelling bee, where They bring all the schools in the whole of the county together in this big stadium, and all the teachers and the pupils and all the parents and the families come together. And I'll never forget this moment. I was standing on stage, and I was to represent the 8-year-olds in the 3rd grade in my school as the one child picked. And I'd already spelled 3 difficult words, and then they gave me the easiest word in the English language. Now, no one had given me a manual. How do you find a word that you've never seen before? And they gave me the word fleet. Now, I'd never seen that in my children's books, but I had seen the word flea in insect, and I said, F-L-E-A-T, and the whole audience was hushed. And all at once, it erupted into laughter. Now, no one had given me that manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of everyone you know? Your student friends, your teachers, your parents. And I looked at my mom, who was sitting in the 3rd row, and she looked back at me as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life. And she just shook her head and went, and internally, it was like this wall just came slamming down inside. And I retreated to the back of the stage where the other losers were. And that day, I decided I'm just so stupid. I'll never succeed at anything. I'll just be a laughingstock my whole life. And it's like this. We have layer upon layer upon layer of these shutdowns. And then when we become that adult, we put on this polished veneer. It doesn't matter how many countries I'd traveled to, and we offer the journey in 39 countries and in 28 languages. Every culture has this veneer. And then life gives you a wake-up call where you decide to crack through it. And you open down through that pain, through these shutdowns, the lies, the limitations. And eventually you open into this vast field of an enlightened awareness, this peace, this love that is actually your essence, that is your own soul. And you're guided by your soul, by this infinite intelligence, by the same part of you that makes your heart beat and your eyes shine and your hair grow. You're guided by this presence into specific cellular locations to get access to the cell memories there, to go through a deep process of release and letting go and ultimately forgiveness, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old issue, completely free from that old programming as new regenerative cells. Now, I learned how powerful it is to open into your emotions unexpectedly and totally spontaneously. And it was after I'd healed from that basketball-sized tumor, and I'd gone to go sit with an enlightened master. And we had been sitting in meditation, and the whole room, had been sitting in this deep presence of peace. And after, we were having a question and answer session called satsang. And one woman raised her hand and she said, I'm not feeling like the rest of you. You all seem to be feeling so much peace. She said, I'm not feeling peace. I'm feeling tormented. I'm feeling anguished. How am I supposed to feel this peace when I'm feeling all this torment inside? And the master said a radical thing. She said, just don't move. Stay still. And if you go into the very core of that torment, there you will find the peace you're seeking. Now, I'm listening to all of this and I'm thinking, wow, that's a radical thing to say. I mean, you go to a psychotherapist and you say that you feel tormented, they're going to try to psychoanalyze you to death. You know, you go to a hypnotherapist, they're going to want to find out what past life created this torment. You're going to want to go to a body worker. They're going to try to find out what's happening with your body that's causing this torment. Everyone out there is trying to fix the bad emotion. But she wasn't saying fix it. She said something more radical than that. She said, go into the core of it, and there you will find the peace that you are seeking. Now, I thought, okay, she may be an enlightened masters, but I can't take this at face value unless it's true for me. So I decided I would go home and I would do what she said. Go into the core of your worst emotion, and there you will find the peace that you are seeking. And I thought, well, what is an emotion that no matter how much work I've done on it, it still keeps coming up, that I'm still hooked by it? And I knew there was an emotion that had been with me my whole life long, and it was almost like a driving compulsion that I had to help people, be there for people, lift them up, care for them, even if it cost me my own health. And I was just driven to always have to be there and care for other people. Now, it's a good thing to, I mean, all children like to care for each other, but, you know, not if it's moved from something healthy, like naturally caring for people, to an unhealthy drive, to what I would call a compulsion. And I knew that it was very unhealthy because I had been giving the Living Health seminar with Tony Robbins for several years. And so I was presenting that Living Health seminar, and I ended up getting pneumonia. Now, it was the first time I even had a cold in 10 years' time. But when I got pneumonia, it was so severe that every healthcare practitioner I went to or that came to the house said the same thing. Brandon, you need to stop. If you don't stop helping other people, being there for them, you're not going to be around to help other people. And of course, I mean, this is the kind of advice I would have given in my own clients. I knew the truth of that I needed to create more balance. But the honest truth was the whole time I had pneumonia, all I could feel was this overwhelming guilt that I was unable to make dinner for the family, that I wasn't there for my clients who may have suicidal depression. I wasn't there to present the Living Health seminars. And all I could feel was this crushing guilt. Now, I'm not stupid. I, of course, did everything externally to create more balance. But if I was honest with myself, I knew I was still hooked. So I decided I would do this experiment and go into the core of my worst emotion. And I'd gone to my answer machine and I'd said, hi, this is Brandon. I'm taking 5 days. I'm going to go into silence. I'm taking a silent retreat. And please leave a message at the sound of the beep and I'll get back to you on Monday. And as I got ready to turn down the knob on the answer machine, overwhelming panic arose. What if my daughter calls in and she's in an auto accident? What if my husband needs me? He's giving a seminar on the East Coast of America. What about that client with depression? And all this panic's coming up. And I thought, stop, Brandon. You've sat in India in monasteries in silence for 3 months where no one could get a hold of you. You're just panicking because you're having to face this emotion, this worst emotion. So I turned down the volume on the answer machine. And I decided I was not going to make any phone calls to help any people. I was not going to receive any requests for help. I was not going to indulge this addiction. And so I went to the big armchair in my living room and I sat down and I said, okay, what what's really here? What's the feeling in here? And again, this overwhelming panic rose. And having been a meditator since university days, I, of course, thought, oh, well, I need to meditate. This is just too much fear happening right now. And for those of you that meditate, I'm sure that you know, of course, there's no meditation available when your mind's going a million miles a minute. There's no calm available in that situation. And I realized what I was doing. I was trying to distract myself to avoid feeling the fear. That's what we all do in life. We throw ourselves into action to avoid feeling the pain, whatever the emotion is. And for me, it was fear. And I realized then that I actually had fear of feeling fear. And I caught myself at my own avoidance game. And I opened my eyes and I said, okay, Brandon, what did she say? And she said, go into the core of your worst emotion. There you will find the peace that you are seeking. This peace in place of the chaos that was going on, that's right there in the center. And so I closed my eyes and I said, so what is the feeling here? And there was so much fear arising that I literally wanted to run out of the chair. So I held on to the arms of the chair because I was terrified. I had fear of feeling fear. But eventually I stopped fighting. And something just let go a tiny bit inside. And then I fell into the guilt. This overwhelming, crushing guilt. The people I could have helped didn't help, never helped. And again, this was such an overwhelming feeling. But I decided to stay still, and some little part of me just let go. And I fell into a deep feeling of loneliness. Actually, a feeling that was very uncommon for me because I was always so busy helping other people that I didn't have a moment free to feel guilt, this loneliness. And so the loneliness felt like it was in the air, that the walls were lonely, that I was lonely. And something inside of me surrendered and stopped fighting. And I fell into a feeling of despair and hopelessness. And I thought, if there's no one here helping anyone, and no one actually needs my help, and no helping is happening, then who the hell am I? And what's the point of life? And when I asked, who am I? This inner scrambling started going on. Who would I be without all this helping game? And when I asked that, I started to scramble and I fell into this field of black nothingness. A vast field of what I called in my own mind a black hole. And I didn't know this. I now call this field the unknown zone. And usually when we're going down through the layers, we encounter just a short moment of this. But I was so terrified of it. I held on for dear life, and there was no way I was going to go into that nothingness. I had fear of the unknown. And I thought, if I go in there, I could lose my mind. I could cease to exist. I could die. And so I just held on and I fought it for dear life. And I was just sweating, just pouring rivulets of sweat. And I became aware that my will was going to cave in and that I wasn't going to be able to fight it much longer. And I asked, well, what if I never leave hovering over this black field of nothingness? And somehow that seemed worse than actually meeting it. And so when I finally felt a tiny little bit of my will give way, as I opened into the nothingness, it was like the form started to deconstruct and dissolve, and pinpricks of light started to flood in until the whole room was flooded with this light. And there was a presence of peace in it, a love. I didn't have a name for what was happening, but it was omnipresent, pervading everything. And as I continued to melt into this light, I became aware it wasn't just in my room and just in the village I was in, that it was pervading all of existence. Somehow, inadvertently, unexpectedly, spontaneously, I'd fallen into my own soul, and I realized that this that I am is part of everything. Part of all of life, connected to and part of all of existence. And so this was my first recognition of realizing that even in the core of your worst emotion, there you will find the peace that you are seeking. Now, in journey work, we always go down through the emotional layers and open into this infinite love. And as while we're resting, we are guided by our own soul, not by our mind, into the body to go to specific cellular locations to uncover the actual cell memories that are buried there, to go through this deep process of release and understanding, ultimately forgiveness, so that new cells are born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And so it's a big part of what the journey has to teach us. The first step in your own journey to discovering this peace is befriending your emotions, welcoming your emotions, allowing your emotions instead of fighting them or running from them or distracting yourself or avoiding from them. You instead say yes to them. You welcome them and open into them. Now, I can't give you the whole journey teaching that takes place over a 3-day period of time in what is called the Journey Intensive, in which you really dive in deeply with not only teachings and meditations and process work with me, but you get a one-to-one process every afternoon with another student. And you really have a deep, not only experience or learning of it, but a profound realization of this work. And you can use it in your life with your loved ones and yourself following it. Though I cannot give you that in-depth teaching as much as I would love to tonight, I'd love to welcome us to start our journey of befriending our emotions, welcoming our emotions, and allowing our emotions to begin to take baby steps towards listening to your body, to letting it reveal what's here. And so, if you'd like to join me, I'd love to take you into a guided introspection, something that I call the gentle welcome. And it's just an opportunity for you to go inside and begin to welcome some of the emotions that are buried inside your body. And you know what? Your body will never give you something you're not ready to face. If you're not ready for it, it won't show up. But if you are, then that means it will, and you're ready for it. And so I always like to treat this as a divine experiment and got nothing to lose, but some old stuff and everything to gain by befriending your body and being present to your emotions. So if you'd like to join me, let's all take a nice deep breath in and letting it out and closing your eyes. And a deep breath in and sighing it out. And a deep breath in and blowing all the stress and chaos, whatever of the day took place. Take a deep breath in and blowing that out of the room. And now taking in a breath in of openness to whatever it is the body wants to reveal. Breathing that into the room. And willingness. The willingness to meet whatever your body wants to reveal. Blowing that into the room. And trust. Trust in yourself, trust in life, trust in your own soul. Trust that your soul has a prayer for you to come home to the peace inside. Your own soul wants the highest and best for you. It has a prayer for you to heal your life. It has a prayer for you to find the love, the oneness, the innate joy that is your own self. So breathing trust into the room. And now allowing your heart to be as wide as the world. Wide enough to welcome all the feelings that live inside of you. That's how vast this vast open sky of all acceptance is. And it's spacious and infinite and vast in front, boundlessly spacious and free behind, endlessly vast and infinite to all sides. And you're just resting now, soaking in this field of acceptance. And then allowing your gaze to turn inside the body. And you already know this. Our bodies are like containers full of all kinds of feelings. And you know, our emotions, they're like little kids. Some are loud and attention-seeking, always trying to get our attention. Others of our emotions, they're shy and they're scared of us. And some of our emotions, they're so rejected by us, and we've rejected them so many times that, like a little kid who's been rejected, they hide underneath lids or behind closed doors. And so putting out a heartfelt welcome to all the feelings that live inside you, and you might even apologize to your body and to the feelings, the emotions in you, for having pushed them away and run from them for so long, having denied them, suppressed them. Just say you're sorry, and that for today's experiment, you're going to be open and you're going to listen to yourself. You're going to be present to what your body is trying to reveal to you. Letting your feelings know this, that you're going to be wide open to whatever shows up. And taking in a deep breath in now of acceptance, and finding a part of your body where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or contraction going on. Locate that area where there's some sort of heldness or contraction or hiding going on. Locate that area. And taking a deep breath of acceptance right now, and flooding that area with acceptance, letting it be softened and marinated and tenderized and opened up. And if there were a feeling softly beginning to rise out of that area, I wonder what that feeling might be. It may be quiet as a whisper, but if there were a feeling there, what might that feeling be? Or if it could speak and had words and you gave it a voice, if this area could speak, what would it say right now? Let the words arise right now. As you listen, how do they make you feel emotionally? Just welcoming whatever's here, also whatever's not here. Or perhaps it feels like there's a lid over this area. If there is this lid, like this block or something stopping, feeling, imagining, how you peel the lid off a can of peanuts. Well, take hold of this lid and right now lift it off. What's hiding here? How does it make you feel emotionally? Welcoming whatever's here, whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath of acceptance, flooding that area with acceptance, and now coming to neutral. Finding another area of your body where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or contraction going on. Locate that area right now. Take a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flooding that area with acceptance. Letting it be softened and marinated and opened up. And if there were feeling starting to rise out of that area, what might that feeling be? Might be as quiet as a whisper. I've got hurt arising, but I don't know what you've got arising right now. But just welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. Or if this area could speak and had words, what would it say to you right now? Give it a voice. As you listen to the words, how do they make you feel emotionally? Or maybe a picture's just showing up out of nowhere. If there's a picture, step into it. How are you feeling in that picture? Or perhaps there is a lid here. If there's a lid, take hold of it and lift it off now. What's hiding here? How does it make you feel emotionally? Welcoming whatever's here, whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance and now flooding that area with acceptance and coming to neutral. And now finding another area where there may be a little tension or stress or some sort of holding going on or contraction or hiding. Locate that area. Take a deep breath in of acceptance, flooding that area with acceptance, letting it be softened and marinated and tenderized and opened up. And if there were a feeling arising out of that area, what might that feeling be? Or if that area could speak and had words, what would it say right now? How does it make you feel? Perhaps a picture showing up. Step into it. How are you feeling in that picture? Or perhaps it's like something's hiding behind a closed door. Well, take hold of the handle and open that door. What's hiding here? Welcoming whatever's here, whatever's not here. And taking a deep breath in of acceptance, flooding that area with acceptance, and now coming to neutral inside yourself. And you might like to make a promise to your body that from now on, you're going to continue this inner listening process. You're going to continue listening to your emotions and listening to your body and opening with what's showing up and just bathing them in acceptance that you're going to be present with yourself. So if it feels appropriate, you can make that promise that you're going to start being present to whatever's showing up inside. If that feels appropriate, taking another nice deep breath in, letting it out. And once again, the heart is as wide as the world, vast and infinite, spacious and free in front, boundlessly vast behind, and infinitely free, spacious to all sides, and just resting, soaking, steeping in this presence as it, so that eyes open or eyes closed, same. Taking another nice deep breath in, letting it out. And one more nice deep breath in and letting it out. And when the eyes are ready, you can open them now into this ocean of presence. And you can open your eyes now. The eyes will open now. So, I want to invite you that if you uncovered some emotions, it would be beautiful to share them in the chat box and just, if you had strong emotion come up and what it was for you, that very often this may have been the first time that we're really allowing and welcoming these emotions to come up. And I'm going to ask Gabby to come on and to just share what arose for you as we were doing this, some of the emotions. She can read them from the chat box.
I will, and just waiting for the abandonment and loneliness. Somebody just wrote.
Those are very deep. You know, when you go down through the layers, that's one of the very deep ones. Yeah. What
Somebody else said fear, guilt, shame, grief, and opened into playfulness and peace and joy.
Wow.
Loneliness again.
Yeah.
And then somebody wrote sore and exhausted from having violence inflicted. Then disappointment, loneliness again, grief and trapped behind a door, fear, untrust, and anger.
It's beautiful. I'm so grateful that you're being so honest and willing to share this, because It's only when we allow our emotions to come up into the light of consciousness that true healing can begin. As long as they stay buried inside of our bodies, they end up continuing to do their dirty work our whole life long. And then ultimately down the line, they can end up, excuse me, manifesting as illness or disease. And so my prayer is that you decide that you are wanting to invest in yourself, to care for yourself, to love yourself enough to really want to roll up your sleeves and dive in and open into this infinite intelligence and to let it guide you to the specific cellular locations, to really, in a very real way, in a practical way, in a down-to-earth way, not only uncover the old cell memories there, but go through a deep process of release, letting go, forgiveness, so that you can continue to clear whatever blocks you or holds you back or shuts you down in life, so that living from the radiant love, this light that is your essence, becomes a way of life. Most of us, including myself, we bought into all the layers, all the shutdowns, the lampshades, the limitations that covered our light. And what today is an invitation, not from me, but from your own soul, that it's time now to come home. It's time to come home to the peace inside, the love inside, and to willingly welcome that all these things be allowed to come to the surface and be cleared, that you willingly take that lampshade off your light so that this radiant love that is your essence can live your life. And I'm so grateful it's actually down to COVID. I used to travel 44 weeks of the year giving live seminars. COVID happened and all travel stopped, and we started having to offer the journey online. And what happens at a journey intensive, not only are you getting the deep teachings from me, but you're having an embrace held by our most senior journey practitioners who've gone through year-long training and completed case studies, and they hold this huge embrace for you. And after we've gone through the teachings and through process work and many guided introspections, and in the afternoons, you'll get together and have a one-to-one process and actually undergo both the emotional journey, the physical journey, the advanced skills. And you leave feeling absolutely washed clean. But what's so beautiful is you'll have a set of tools of how to really take the lampshade off your own light and everyone else's. So you can use the journey with your children, with your friends, your parents, your family, and to continue your journey in your life from the love that is your essence. So if you're feeling that call within, I'm thanking God that now we do have the journey online so that you can take it. And there's one upcoming right away in North America and in Israel and in Australia and Europe. And so I'm going to turn you over to Gabby, and she can share more about how you can continue your journey with your own soul and with the journey. So a heartfelt namaste.
Thank you so much, Brandon, for this beautiful, beautiful introspection, for the exercise that we did here. And also thank you to everybody who shared in the chat box and how real all of your shares were. And just another way of proving and seeing how much we storing away emotions. And as Brandon also so beautiful shares in one of her talks, the emotions are the gateway to our soul. So we do everything to shut it down, and that also means we're shutting ourselves down, our gateway to home, our gateway to ourselves. And so all of this can be learned at the Journey Intensive, which is a 2-day event. There is a Saturday, a Sunday, and we also have some midweek events, especially for those of you who are in Israel. And all of these events, we will share the dates and the links very, very shortly. But I just wanted to say something about the online events, because since 2020, we have been using this format, and many of our events are still online. And so when Brandon says Europe or Australia, we actually speak of the time zone. We do it on the Australian time zone, we do it on European time zone, or we do it on North American time zone. So it's easy for you to join the event there. And it also happens similar to what you're experiencing here. You have the teaching sessions with Brandon. She will be right in front of you and you have a front row seat. And then when it comes to introspection, when it comes to working with each other, we will actually send you in a breakout room and you will work with another person. It's very private. It's just the two of you. And if there is any help needed, if there is any stuckness at any point, we will send somebody to guide you along, to kind of help you along. And all the people who come in to help out and support at these events have done the full Journey Practitioner program with Brandon. So there is always really, really great support. And it's 2 days. As I said, there is 2 days. Very often you will see 3 days. Well, there is a third day where we're teaching additional skills, advanced skills. And it's not obligatory that you come to the third day, and yet 90% of the people do. If you can afford to come and join us, very often it's kind of one step after the next step, and then on the third day it's the big crashing experience. But we're also learning why we get stuck, how we can get unstuck, how we can lift the lid off. And obviously all the teachings will happen with Brandon, and one of our experienced presenters and co-hosts will be there to guide you along, to be there for Q&As, for question and answers, and anything that you may need during the course of the weekend or during the course of the course. So all of that is coming up now. I said we would announce a winner from this from today's session, and I will do that in a moment. And I also wanted to share that we have, for our main online events, for the one in Europe, Australia, and in North America, we have a very, very special discount which gives you 25% off. And all you need to do is use the code HEAL NOW. So the two words together as one word, HEAL NOW, and that's that's a command here, HEAL NOW, and it will automatically give you a discount. And that discount, I'm not quite sure how long it's on, but I'm sure in our follow-up email, you've all registered to be here, so you will be getting the replay, you will be getting a booking link. And one thing I would like to say, I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning. How very silly of me. I've been with Brandon, she says 28 years. I'm coming up. My first Journey Intensive actually was in 1996. So my first experience of her work is coming up to very soon 30 years. And life has really, really taken on a different turn since then. It felt like life has come back into me. I was kind of a bit numbed out. If I look back, and I would probably consider myself depressed, I would have never called myself depressed at that time. And yet that's what it was. It was kind of all the experiences had to be found on the outside, but inside was nothing happening. There was a grayness, there was a dullness, there was not much experience at all. And all of that has come back to life with the journey. And so life since then on has become rich, has become full, has become in a beautiful flow. And that is available for everyone, no matter whether you are held back in your emotional life or in your physical life, if it's illness, whatever it is. And the way the journey has been designed, whether we've done it on live in a seminar room or online, the format, it works the same. And actually, for those of you here in Israel, the lady who organizes the event and holds the event is called Irit Lifshitz, and she's translating for you here today. And she's actually doing it in a live environment. So you will be together in one room and you will have trainers there with you. The European, Australian, and North American events will take place online. And so you don't have to leave your house. You can stay at home and experience everything there right in front of you. So I hope we get to see you at some point. There's a beautiful discount, so please remember to do that. It's not going to be on forever, so please come and join us. And there is a free place going, and I need to just double check who we have. And we have a Cecilia Sternglim from Sweden. So Cecilia, congratulations. You have won the free place for the Journey Intensive. I hope you can join us. This free place stays with you. If for whatever reason you can't do it, you won't do it, please give the free place away to somebody so that somebody can experience the work. But everything that Brandon has spoken about, we do go through it ourselves. This is not intellectual learning. This is experiencing. And you experience coming home to yourself. You experience opening into this presence, this love, this peace, this infinity, the truth of who you are, that which Brandon has been speaking of. And once we had a taste of that, then we have really landed, we have really come home. This is not talking about it, this is stepping into it, and then life can be lived from that place. And when we are in it, we get to see where we have held back, how we have suppressed emotions, how we have not seen root causes of some physical illnesses. And I have seen it over and over, nearly 30 years of experiencing people in seminars, thousands and thousands of people, and results, amazing results that they have had. So it's time for you. It's time for you to come home. Hopefully you can join us at the next event. So please show the banner here. We still have a few more of those beautiful people share their experiences from the journey, and we'll also share a banner here that gives you all the dates for the upcoming events. And my colleague Olga has shared here all the booking links. So please just scroll a little bit up in the chat box and you have it all there. And we'll send it to you by email as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. With all my heart, I say thank you, and I hope we see you along the way at some of our upcoming events, wherever they are in the world, in Israel, in Europe, on the European time zone, North American or Australian. Thank you so much. Namaste and good evening, good day, good night, wherever in the world you are. Thank you.
My biggest win with the journey was being able to access my deepest emotions and free myself from them. I feel more calm and serene.
I found my true calling, and now today I can help others. I love to make an impact. I love to see transformation in others' lives.
For years and years, I used to feel very lonely, and now I just feel a part of everything. I feel I'm alive.
My biggest win with joining the practitioner program is owning my own life back and stepping out of a severe PTSD.
The acceptance of myself and the self-love, so I don't need others to love me. That's perfectly okay.
Life is different now because of joining the journey, because I just live in so much abundance. You know, I get up every day with a joy for living. I want to go to work. I want to meet other people.
My biggest win was the really deep knowing I actually do have the answers. They are within me.
There is a lot more certainty and openness into where I'm heading and how I'm feeling about things.
I feel more connected to life. It's not an easy path for anyone to do healing work, but it's profound.
1, I'm more balanced. 2, I'm more grateful for those persons who helped me in this life. I enrich my life every day with this wisdom.
It's priceless. There's no better, bigger investment we can do in time, money, or energy.
I was a mess before I started with this work, and I healed from lots of different types of abuse, and that's a miracle.
My life now, because of the journey, is transformed. I have confidence. Even if I struggle, it's just I have to let go. It's step after step, and it's no danger at the end.
My biggest win is myself. It doesn't have to be anything else. You can be fulfilled even if you only have yourself.
It's more peaceful. I've learned to process emotions. I learned to be more self-aware, and I've learned when you need to ask for help.
I've been able to have a really deep, long, soulful look at myself, and I've been able to uncover, recover, and heal long-term wounds.
My biggest win being a journey practitioner has been becoming a therapist and a healer, because that's what I never ever imagined it to be.
I'm living from a place of freedom and choice. I'm really conscious in every moment. Any sentence I say, it's coming from just pure goodness.
I feel more authentic, wearing much less of a mask. It's about being you and feeling good about it.
I can embrace all that is. I'm here to share my life, my joy. Now I can just be me.
My own journey of healing from cancer is an inspiration for others. I get to work with amazing people, see amazing transformations in their life.
My biggest win is to be yourself. Just be there for other people, to help other people heal, and just to be there.
I know that no matter what comes, I have the right instrument to deal with whatever emotions every situation will bring to me.
It really has helped me come back to a place of wholeness. I feel like completely authentic. I feel genuine. I feel like I'm in my body.
My big win is my courage and my physical healing, my emotional healing. But in one word, I could say freedom.
The journey is all about releasing all of the emotions that create the illness. I was healed physically within 6 weeks, while I had been in pain over 3.5 years.